So about a little over a year ago, I guess a year and 4 months ago, we presented at 1 Million Cups, and I think then we were talking about just our general philosophy, I think, and that's kind of when you touched on the idea that we're not a big growth company, kind of a small, sustainable growth company. Whereas not only in roasting, but in generally any industry, I suppose, those are the two players. There are people who just go after every account, sell as much as they can, ramp up production, and just basically try and just rake in cash. And I guess we don't do that, though we, obviously need to be sustainable. We need all of us have a life, so we have to make money. But it hasn't ever been a thing to grow outside of our means at any given time. And if it means compromising the quality of the product, we will not do it, basically. And we have examples to show where we kind of sacrifice maybe a new account in order to sustain either our quality of product or quality of mind, basically, because it can just become a little bit much to just go for everything we can. I think that was about a year ago, I want to say. That's kind of what the main spiel was then, just kind of philosophic diatribe. So a year has passed, and since then we've kind of reapproached, what we've got to do to grow as a company. And I think that the main thing is that we need to be able to produce more. And it's not that we will produce more, it's that we can't produce more right now. And so what that really means is that we are producing as much as we possibly can. And that means 40 hours a week of roasting coffee, which leaves no time to expand, on a person's weekly schedule. Standing and doing one thing, 40 hours a week is a lot. So what we've done is kind of a multifaceted approach to how we're going to re-engage a community, because we've had unparalleled support from Chattanooga as a city. It's been the entire reason for our success, and so knowing that we have Chattanooga as we have our foot here, there's no question that people support us, and so that we kind of had to then think about how we're going to engage another community. And not so much in just sales, but in kind of the lifestyle that we live as people, and that people who buy our coffee kind of want to take part in certain senses, whatever little pieces of it they want to take. And so the result of that was a reapproach to social media marketing, and using kind of untraditional methods for getting funding for a project of expansion. So in doing so, the main social media outlet for coffee and bicycles is Instagram. It is the thing. There's no other social media that does quite the same thing, just because of the strictly visual aspect that bikes have and coffee has. People like latte art, or beautiful espresso machines, or beautiful shops. And there's a large community out there of people who are interested in seeing that. It's not as easy to just tweet, "I'm riding my bike right now," which you can do, but it just doesn't engage our customers the same way. So, thinking about Instagram and how to kind of grow a community outside of Chattanooga, we wanted to pair it with other things. So we continue to do Twitter. We hate Facebook, but we believe in it, I guess, if that makes sense. Because it's just like a large open door to a ton of people. Even though the format is absolutely convoluted. I don't know if anybody else agrees. Please, can I get an amen? It just sucks. But we do it, and so those are kind of the main things. And then, so when it came down to it, we needed to grow in a way that we could sustain it. So the most sustainable growth for Velo is to take down the amount of time that we had to put into producing our product by a huge amount, just to be able to have more time to grow into. And what that means for a roaster is a larger capacity roasting machine. So besides just needing, basically a roasting machine is expensive. It's very expensive. The one we're trying to buy is $46,000. And so we knowing that we had Chattanooga support, we kind of decided that we would try and create an outlet for Chattanooga and a larger community to see where our needs are, and kind of give them a chance to invest in some sort of metaphorical way, I guess is how we thought about it, in return for some incentives that we think are really worth it and not placed at any exorbitant price. They're all very fairly priced. So Kickstarter was the choice. We had Causeway, Indiegogo, which I don't think we could have done. And then there's some smaller companies that do this crowdfunding thing. And Kickstarter is the most mainstream. There's a 6 million person user base, return backers, lots of engagement. It's its own social media effectively in a certain way. And so the idea was that we were going to create this campaign and also back it up with a social media, a reapproach of a professional approach, I guess, an intentional approach to using all these things on one front to push this thing. Because this roasting machine is basically, I don't want to say in a black and white sense, it is what will push us in any direction, but it is basically the foundation for any next step, as we see it. Obviously, we have other plans. We're not completely, it's not an eggs in one basket situation, but it is the best. It is the best option we have. Subsequent things are as good, and basically, this is just what we wanted to try first. So we opened this Kickstarter. We spent a lot of time on it because we realized that it's a creative outlet in a certain sense. There's a lot to be said about, campaigns that don't take the time to produce a video of any quality or, have any continuity to their the visual side of it. So kind of took some time to make it a very simplistic, kind of minimal in the writing area, because from what I've learned, people don't really read that much anymore. I hate to say it, but they just don't. And they might read a book, but a book is meant to be read, whereas like this, you can make an easy excuse not to read. So very, very low amount of writing. Each paragraph makes a point, separate from the paragraph in advance of it. And then we try to have a lot of continuity when it came to the visual presentation of our items. So we use this old 100-year-old floor that's over at St. Elmo. I'm not sure what the building used to produce. It's where Tennessee Bouldering Authority is. So we kind of approached it creatively, thought that if we created something that was interesting visually and the incentives were fairly priced, that it would draw people, to it, because it's effectively like just a little web store rather than a fundraiser. It's not like these. An example, this coffee kit we've priced on the Kickstarter at $220, but it's normally like a $175 item. So we basically, knowing that people know it's a Kickstarter, know it's a fundraiser, we took that into account. But we know people will, charge 100% of markup on things, and we didn't really feel like that was a good idea, just because simply it just would make things unattractive. So that's kind of the Kickstarter, I guess, is trying to create a thing that's visually pleasing, kind of exciting, creates excitement through just like the quality of the presentation. Aside from that, the next step was to kind of push it in a lot of directions. Kickstarter provides a lot of information, because I don't think that they totally know what they have on their hands. They do, but they are very much learning, and they're asking for information from people all the time. So they give analytics, they give beforehand guidebooks on creating a campaign based on their information. And so, using that, we kind of took what we thought would be the best approach after having researched a lot of it. So the next thing was taking our social media outreach and kind of aligning it with that. And that meant that we had to basically understand how these social media outlets work. And that wasn't necessarily the easiest thing. Instagram made the most intuitive sense. Twitter, I still don't quite get. I think it's for like those moments that you take a blurry picture and you're like, oh, I can't Instagram that, and then you just tweet it. You're like, oh, there's a great picture of someone biking that I'm with. Oh, I can't get a good picture of them biking, so I'm biking with this person. I think I hate that that's how it works, but I think that that's how it works. And if that's not how it works, then I'm still working on it. So we kind of paired those things, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook together with a single message on all fronts, but while still trying, with Instagram specifically, to provide high quality content, because that's what people want. People aren't going to like or follow people with blurry pictures. You really have to have, basically, if you were a photographer, you need a portfolio, and in a portfolio, you're not going to put your junk photos in it. And so, as an Instagram account, you don't put photos of low quality in, which is hard when you've been used to just like snapping a photo and everyone still being cool with that. So to step outside of Chattanooga, to go back to that idea of what we're trying to do, we had to create something that basically our friends, not only our friends would enjoy, but that people we've never seen or met before would enjoy. Because we started to realize that that's who we're talking to with this and with Twitter and Instagram. I mean, I don't know 1,400 people who come to Velo every day. I don't know, I'm sure we have 1,400 customers, but not all of them are in Chattanooga, I think, at least through social media. So, to keep on this tangent, I guess, we tried to increase this quality of output of content because it would draw people. And this idea is that this is all just going to facilitate them going to the Kickstarter. It's a marketing campaign. It's not, and it is also a display of the lifestyle that Velo and Velo employees live, because really we do just ride bikes all the time and enjoy that, and drink coffee, and we found a way to do both. All that being said, the final step was to find like local bloggers and things who would support the campaign as well, and so we contacted people, and we've had Barista Magazine, Local Milk. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Local Milk. Local Milk is I guess a lifestyle blogger and a food stylist kind of person, and she kind of did a write-up about it. And all of this is just kind of a new thing as a company. So that's kind of why I think it's important. It's why I'm presenting this point, because it's new. Velo has always been a very organic thing, and it remains that. But we had to, it was necessary basically to start to employ these tools because of it's not I wouldn't say it's confidence, but it's a somewhat secure feeling that Chattanooga isn't going anywhere as a city, and we're thankful for that. So we basically, we're continuing to do everything we've ever done up to this point, but with these extensions that are kind of growing points to these people who we've never met. I mean, basically, on Instagram, for example, there are companies who now know about us that have never known about us just simply because we were playing the Instagram game and they're following us, and it's like, here's this shop out in LA who now might take a visit to Chattanooga, who's heard of Chattanooga and knows it has this type of business in it. So we're also kind of adding to the picture of Chattanooga. So if you Google search Chattanooga and find out businesses that are amenities, you find that it's got a coffee roastery that delivers its product by bicycle, with a couple dudes who ride their bikes around and go camping every weekend. And that's cool, it's something that people can, it can be a call to action, it can be a lifestyle, I guess a catalyst for people, an inspiration, and those are all valuable things to a company. And that's just what we're learning about it. So all that being said, that's kind of the Kickstarter project and why it's our main focus. You know, though we spend 40 hours a week roasting the coffee and putting it in Whole Foods and grocery bar and delivering it and everything, this is where we're growing. It's not in wholesale accounts. We're not taking on new wholesale accounts. We're basically putting the pause and sustain button on one thing while we're turning to this other space and trying to grow in this way. So as far as after Kickstarter, you know, I guess with the success of Kickstarter, the idea will be to purchase this roasting machine. Though it takes about 6 months for it to be built, even it's a one-off type thing. They don't build it until you pay for it. So the idea there is to continue to sustain. Once again, pause button is still going to go even after Kickstarter is done because we're stretched thin and basically can do what we're doing. We can't do more. So the idea is after that to not so much go through what a normal company would go through. It's like, oh, we've got this huge new machine. We can now, let's just like call everyone in the country and tell them we've got this great coffee. It's not going to become that. It's basically just going to turn into a way to maintain, you know. And I think a person who's not here that I'm speaking for is Andrew right now. You know, he and his wife both are Velo is their sole support and their child's sole support. And basically, you know, when both of them are working 25 to 40 hours a week each on this business, they don't get much alone time. They don't get really anything besides a full work day every day of the week. So that's kind of where we're at as a company. When it comes to after this, and in Chattanooga, so I guess stepping back into Chattanooga and what we do plan on doing, as a result of having, am I going to time? Okay. Basically, what we plan on doing is kind of reconstituting our retail space, putting money into that as a result of having both the expanded income and time, and basically trying to add to Chattanooga's landscape of retail locations that offer kind of a unique service. In that case, it would be a coffee shop, grocery, and bike boutique. Those all being facilitated effectively by this project. So, that's it.
Who did the video?
His name is Cole Threcken. He did our first video, if you've ever seen that. It was on our website for a while, but that's been replaced by the Kickstarter. He is a videographer for, he's got his own production company where he works for Whole Foods, and he lives in Haiti. So we had to get him to fly up here and do the video.
He lives in Haiti full time?
Yeah. He like films for doing some mango documentary.
Yeah, look great.
Thank you.
Is there one common voice for all of this social media that you're putting out there and the way the images look? And does that come from somebody at Velo, or how?
Basically, it comes from me.
Okay.
And that's the thing. There's definitely a voice has to be chosen. You have to speak as if, you know, like there's a question asker. You know, like how are you enjoying your coffee today is a thing. You know, so you kind of have to hone in on that voice. It's not my voice. Basically, as many times as I have now talked about myself in third person because of social media, it's like there are no rules, and you have to know that you can't always be you. Everyone can't. It's hard. It's a hard thing to break away, basically, because for Chattanooga, Velo Coffee is Andrew Gage, but Velo Coffee's Instagram is no longer Andrew Gage's Instagram, which it was for a year and a half. Sadly, there will be fewer and fewer pictures of Monty showing up in the feed and things like that, just because they are not, unless we got one on there right now of Monty like on the roasting machine, and that's good because it's relevant content. So does that answer your question?
I'm interested in the relationship between other social media outlets and Kickstarter.
Mhm.
I assume you had a pretty big following before you started the campaign, right?
With any,
With Kickstarter, the Kickstarter campaign. And did you see a bump the other way with the other social media? And did you, like, people coming from Kickstarter, do you have a sense of whether or not Kickstarter is, like, the backers are mostly followers, or are they coming from other sources?
Sure. Well, with the analytics that Kickstarter gives us, we find that like a good chunk of our backers are coming from Facebook. In general, I think right now the majority of our current backing is from Chattanooga, and it can actually. Most people don't go as far as to put all their information into their account, so you just see their name. But some people we've gotten from like Ohio and Florida, and we can't necessarily figure out where they're coming from because basically this analytics system gives you a list of web links or where the web link was that they clicked through to come to the page. But that's not totally accurate all the time because they could have been on a page and seen it and then gone to Kickstarter and searched for it, or clicked through but then gone off the page and come back to the page, and that would show up not as that link through anymore. So it's not, I wouldn't say that they're directly having any relationship like that. For example, with local milk posting, we got like 100 followers in like a day, but it didn't really turn into anything, which is kind of a bummer, to be honest. But so really there's been, if likes turn into dollars, then I think everyone would be a freaking millionaire. So, yeah.
So what's out there right now in grocery bar and Whole Foods? Have you guys put any stuff in your?
Related to Kickstarter?
Yeah.
We've got a stamp that says support Kickstarter, VeloCoffeeRoasters.com, or Kickstarter.com, Velo Coffee Roasters.
You put that on bags?
Yeah, every bag right now has one on it, which, basically Kickstarter is this weird thing where I feel like there are three categories and we're in the middle camp. There are projects that just fail outright and will never be successful because they're just bad looking and no one feels confident about them. And then there's the other side where they just go viral and just shoot to this cooler. Anybody seen this cooler on Kickstarter? I think you're a Kickstarter viewer. It's like a cooler with a blender and a Bluetooth speaker in it. The guy wanted 50 grand. It has now 7.5 million.
Awesome.
So I don't. And my question is is that guy ready for 100,000 orders right then? He's not. Can't be. That business is gonna fail. I feel.
He's,
Maybe. I don't know.
I think you'll just have to push his deadlines, but yeah.
It's a good point.
Right.
But if you backed it and you're like, all right, it's going to be 2 years before we get you your cooler. It's because we got to now we got to actually go to Taiwan and figure out our wholesaling and manufacturing logistics. It's unless they thought of that in advance, And I think people are probably approaching companies like that and saying hey, here's $1 million I'm about to put in your Kickstarter, but I want part of the company out of it. I don't want a cooler, But we're in the middle camp, which is these campaigns that you don't know if they're going to be successful until 48 hours before they're done. And it gets, so it kind of is tedious in that regard.
Do you guys have anybody that's in that 48-hour mode that will come in at the end?
Well,
so sitting on the sidelines and they're saying, if you just need a grand to push you over the top.
We do, and I myself have some money, Andrew has money, and really though, as far as we know, everyone is sitting on the sideline right now. Everyone is in that. No one is giving. It's this weird thing where, we're trying to play the tune to say just if you want to give, just please go ahead and do it because it's not you're not going to charge until we're successful, and it's not necessarily going to, it's not going to help us to have it at the last minute. It's going to help us to have it constantly throughout.
Right.
And so it's this weird thing where, because we're asking for money from people, we can't necessarily tell them what to do, and we're at the mercy of people forgetting about it. you know, which is like a huge thing. People forget about it and then it ends and they're like, oh, I wanted to give to that. Or like this thing where someone's like, oh, you got a Kickstarter going on. Well, good luck with that. And I'm just like, thanks, man. That's how it works. That's definitely how, like, to me, that's like a real life like. It's like, good luck, man. Double tap, click the button.
I'll pray for you.
Yeah, it's just like, so that's how that feels, you know. So,
Is it typical to give away gifts on Kickstarter? Do a lot of people do what you're doing in terms of donation levels? You get something.
yeah, that's pretty much the format. It's
Yeah.
like, but so what we, you know, with us, we've kind of taken the extra time with, I'll use some coffee as an example. There were other companies doing a roaster, trying to buy a roasting machine, and their incentives revolved around like a mug, a t-shirt, and a sticker. And we kind of were like, that's not something we feel like we should do. So we kind of went heavy on finding high quality incentives. We had 2 companies in Chattanooga make a product specifically for the Kickstarter that's only available through Kickstarter, but will become available after Kickstarter. So it was like this kind of, it's almost like a product testing zone. So we kind of wanted to take it one step further in quality of incentive, and also not just like charge some crazy amount for it, because it's like, why would, I don't know, why, we want to give people more of a reason to give, so.
So how is everybody reacting right now at the roastery? How is it? I mean, you guys have like a thing on the wall, like a thermometer, and you hit refresh every 10 minutes?
Sort of. Kickstarter's like its own version of that. Like you can just, it's really, really by the second updates. Like you get everything's like, they'll send you a little notification on your phone, like in the background. It sucks, man. It's like, it's so nerve-wracking.
Because everybody says that it is that way.
Yeah, it
That
is.
it's like so, yeah, I'm so excited, like, whatever the Instagram photo looks like after this, or blog post, or whatever you guys
Sure.
decide to do with post-campaign,
Yeah.
to really hear about that firsthand, because I've definitely thought about doing this, but
Yeah.
hats off to you guys for putting yourselves out there.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess we are one of the, besides Mox and Ben, we're like one of the first companies in Chattanooga there's like one other that's had a successful campaign, but we're one of the first like big companies, big name companies in Chattanooga that's done this. So it is kind of an experiment, and so everything I just talked about is like all of the information we've learned.
Right.
It's not like we knew it in advance. It was like kind of all taken in the week leading up to, and during the last week and a half of Kickstarter. The social media stuff has been about 6 months where we've like kind of really been researching how it works and stuff like that.
Do the pledges like sit in escrow until you hit that 35?
They're simply like, just like I guess like a bookmark. Like, yes, I will get, if this project is fully funded, I will get this money.
Is it tagged to like a credit card that it's going to hit?
Right.
The minute, yeah, basically once the project is over, everyone gets charged. But until then, you're just committing like by clicking the button, but you're not having any money taken until the project is fully, I guess, over. Not even fully funded, because some projects hit their funding in like a day, but they have 25 days left. But no one gets charged until the project is over.
Have you had any success with, so you got the stamp on the bags at Whole Foods and then grocery bar, how about everybody that buys your coffee? So at Farmer's Daughter and stuff like that, are they helping
Sure.
out with it?
Yeah. At Farmer's Daughter, it's written on the board to ask about Velo Coffee's Kickstarter. And Mike and Ann Mike especially are very supportive, just as friends and as entrepreneurs with a creative mindset for how we can generate more capital. So it's like, when it comes down to it, we're not done yet.